Some of you are going to sew the shorts together without doing the side seam pockets. And I'm going to show you just a little sample of how that seam allowance would be done. So I'm going to check my machine first, and needle up, presser foot up, and we're going to check to make sure that we're sewing okay. Now this is just a little sample. It's a little over 6 inches long, but I'm going to show you the 2 steps that you're going to do with the side seams if you are not putting in the side seam pockets. So we're going to start by putting the fabric about 1/4 to 1/2 of an inch in underneath the end. We're lined up with the 5/8 of an inch seam mark. Okay. And I'm going to drop my needle down, do a couple of stitches forward. I want to make sure that I go all the way to the end of the fabric. And I can always check here whether or not I'm at the end of the fabric, because this should line up with the needle when I'm at the end of the fabric. And then I'm going to stitch forward. Remember to go at the speed that you're most comfortable with. We're going to take our pins out as we go. And when we get to the end, we're going to back stitch a few stitches, stop, needle up. Now, of course, it's going to take you a lot longer to do that because you've got a longer piece. I just have a sample that I'm doing. Okay. Now, with the side seams, I'm only stitching them once, and then I'm going to zigzag. So now I'm going to switch over to stitch number 5. Again, I'm going to line it up with the 5/8 of an inch mark. Zigzagging is going to put me over just a little bit from that edge. We want to be able to trim this off afterwards and not leave a big bunch of fabric along the side. So now I'm just going to zigzag down the side. I don't have to backstitch at the top and the bottom with the zigzag because it's going to be covered up at the other end. And just try to keep that over near your 5/8 of an inch as you're going along. Needle up, presser foot up. Remember, yours is going to be a lot longer than that. Then I'm going to take my scissors. So I have my straight stitching and I have my zigzagging. And then I'm going to take my scissors, and please don't trim this until after I check to make sure that your side seam is okay. And normally I would use my bigger scissors, but they're not close by to me, so I'm just using the snips. You do need to use some scissors that are made for fabric. And I have multiple pairs that we can use for this. Don't use the paper scissors. They're not sharp enough. Okay? All right? And then once that is trimmed like that, I will show you how to press it. But make sure, again, don't trim it until after I have checked to make sure that it's done correctly, because if you cut it off first, then it's going to be hard to go back and fix anything. You won't have very much of a seam allowance. So that's how our seam's going to look if we don't put the inseam pockets.